So let's talk about pregnancy. In the news right now, uh, our dear, uh, our dear love sister Kiki Palmer is kind of going through it. Um, she has, she's just going through some difficult times, and there should be a happy time, but it's mixed in with other things. So, to piggyback off of my other video, which was pregnancy and why some people are not getting pregnant, don't want to get pregnant, I think there's a hard truth that a lot of people don't talk about with pregnancy. And I don't know if that's all communities, all women. Maybe it is in many communities because obviously the birth rate is lower and that it's lower for a reason. And a lot of people are saying it's because of financial hardship, but I don't think that's really fully what it is. It's also because women are unhappy with how we're treated or how we've seen other women get treated during pregnancy. So I know I was pregnant twice within a marriage. And I can say my pregnancies were the most horrible emotional experience of my life. During, into post, I guess. It just felt like I was alone. It felt like I was a surrogate, really. I think a lot of women don't talk about how sometimes while we're pregnant, if we're lucky, we have other people to support us, mothers, fathers, sisters, cousins, friends. But it's something to be said when the person you're having kids with makes you feel alone in your face. It is the worst feeling in the world. The turning around in bed when you can't sleep on one side and crying for those who are left alone into the middle of the night because maybe said person is being unfaithful. Those who had the men that are drinking during pregnancy, and maybe you might have voiced it the first time, and it happens a second time, and you feel so alone. Like pregnancy is such a hard thing in general. Pregnancy is hard. Gestational period of pregnancy is hard. The leading up to the pregnancy, maybe you might have had infertility issues, or you might have been scared you're going to have infertility issues, and you're promised that this person wants to be with you. Or maybe you didn't even think about getting pregnant. Maybe you didn't want to get pregnant, and this person still promises they're going to be here and they're going to be at your side. I think there's so many women that have seen that, and we're all trying to avoid this catastrophe, this feeling of what we've seen our mothers, our grandmothers, our sisters, our aunts go through. Because let's face it, a lot of times it's women supporting women during these periods and emotionally being there for us. And it's a period where we need to feel safe. We need to feel like you're going to be here and you're not going to act a fool. You're not going to go crazy. You're not going to abandon me. You have the women that are sexless during marriage, right? And that's probably because their husbands or whatever are cheating. You have the women that can't have sex during marriage, but maybe you still want affection. Maybe you want to be made to be felt secure. I think the hardest part is while you're going through this, you feel like you don't really have anyone to talk to. You put on this face like everything's okay, right? It's almost like the same face that people put on during a marriage, but during pregnancy. And I think a lot of women that go through this difficult time of pregnancy, when this person either becomes more abusive emotionally or isolates you, because there's different types of abuse, isolates you from affection or caring, And maybe the person does go to the store and get these things for you, but they're never there to say, hey, you want me to massage your feet? Let me lay next to you. Let me hold you. And you need it. This idea that just because we're adults, we don't need contact and human connection is such bullish. And during pregnancy, it's when we need it the most. Like we literally have this life source, absorbing our vitamin D and our energy from us to survive. And this child, we're honoring this person by giving them a lineage. And to feel so dishonored is the most ultimate disrespect. And then for your body to go through whatever it goes through during or post. I think I read a statistic where it said 66% of women have a hernia or a diastasis after pregnancy. That's crazy, right? When men ask us, why isn't your body right? Or why is this? Like, how many men have, classes in anatomy where they explain the true hardship of pregnancy? Some of us who, like I said, have hernias, have diastasis. The hernia, which is where like you have a protrusion or a pocket in your belly, a diastasis where your abdominal muscle rips. Some of us who go through pregnancy and have to get cut all the way to the anus to be stitched up again. Those of us who end up being gestational diabetic. Those of us that end up being hypertensive. Those of us that we just go through so much. We go through so much physically. And to be left to rot on the side or like a book on a shelf to be shelved as if we're not sacrificing for a particular person or for mankind. Let's just talk about mankind. Like we as women, we sacrifice for mankind. Why is it that I have a baby and I can't have in the United States health classes to help me maintain my weight? Gym classes, like they have stuff like that in Canada. Why is it that I'm a woman and I'm birthing for society where I can't have maternity leave for a year? Because let's be honest, 3 months is nothing. 3 months after having a baby is nothing. If you have a C-section, everyone promotes a C-section. But if you have a C-section, not everybody comes back from a C-section right away. You can't even drive for 7 weeks, right? And you still have women working. And then with someone who wants to go half, right? So let's add that if the person wants to go half, or maybe you stop working and this person resents you for stop working, and you don't even know that they're resenting you because the conversations aren't even had. There's no full conflict resolution or conversation to be had about these things. It's just a lot. And I think that goes hand in hand with why a lot of women don't want to have kids anymore, right? And that's just during. We're not going to talk about after. We're not going to talk about, the longing to want to maybe be there with your kid for the first 6 weeks. Some of us, right? Not all of us. Or the price of childcare, all that stuff, right? And then dealing with a emotional person that feels like we're not giving them enough time when we don't even have enough energy to stay up. Because anyone who's breastfed or had a baby knows that you feel like you have no energy for the first 3 months after this baby, and we're running on residual jet fuel. And then to not be honored for it, not to be respected for it, to call me a birther, right? Like, I think a lot of women are just wondering why. Why are we having these kids? And like I said, I definitely, even though I was a married woman, I think whether you're married or you're single, if you've ever had a partner that just made you feel like you want to cry on the bathroom floor, and then you have to keep your spirits up during pregnancy. If you don't keep your spirits up during pregnancy, oh my God. Like It is a drain. It will drain you because the pregnancy itself is draining you. You have to accentuate the positive, or you will feel like you want to drop into the depths of Hades. And nobody can understand that unless you are a woman that births children. Nobody can understand that. And even women who don't have children, who have go through fertility issues, that's a whole nother thing to understand, right? Because now maybe you wanted to have a children, but you child, but you can't. So you get shamed either way. You get shamed for not having kids, maybe because you can't, and then you get shamed for having kids. Why did you have kids? You should have known better. It's. I just think sometimes it's unfair because it's almost like we have to be Inspector Gadget. We have to be the Pink Panther and solve the mystery of the crime of the guy that's not who he says he is. And like, I literally had to say this other day, I think when my kids have children, I'm going to have a full background check on people. And even then, it's not guaranteed. But I need first name, last name, social security, financial. I need all of it because once I have this baby with this person, we're stuck forever. Everybody says 18 years, but it's not true. It's not true. Like, look at this situation with our dear Kiki. It's not 18 years. This is forever. We know kids are going to ask for their dads, right? So if she wants to go out the country and, get a passport, he has to sign off. Even if you don't feel safe about where your kid is, you have to shut up, right? And allow this person who you don't feel safe with, who may use your child as a manipulative um, instrument, which, let's face it, a lot of men do. A lot of people do in general, which is why we should make sure we have kids with people who we want to have kids with. I don't even understand the purpose in having kids just for money. Like, because the thing is, I personally don't feel like you can have a kid and truly love your kid if you don't truly love the person, right? Like, and you hear men say, like, come and get your damn kids. We don't, we don't care about these damn kids. It's because you didn't really care about me, right? And I think that affects your parenting. It becomes a sour note. This one thing for some girls, and I think a good amount of girls, the idea of having kids is probably a beautiful thing. Like, we would love to entertain it, right? We would hope that this is such this pure and innocent thing, and then to have it, and for this person to sully the moment, to tarnish this beautiful moment. And even when you're trying to enjoy it, it's a spit in my face, right? And then to think that your kids are going to have to go through this for years on end. That's definitely one of the reasons why I think a lot of women don't want to have kids, because we love kids enough to be careful. Kids to many women are not just a pawn. They're not just a possible, someone who's going to loan me money later on, someone who's going to be my, CNA caretaker, someone who I could like say, hey, this is mine because I had my own life failures and I like literally traumatized this person into doing great because they couldn't stand me. No, like a lot of moms genuinely would love to love their kids and not have to feel this attachment to their predator or to their groomer. And it's disgusting. It's the most disgusting way to have kids. And it builds up resentment, it builds up disdain. And this is what kids are being raised in? Are you freaking serious? Yeah, I know it's not all the time. I know, yeah, you love your kids, but you want to love your kids at your best, right? Emotionally at your best. And no one can tell me that you being that way, you don't go through this traumatic experience where you're falling short. You're falling short of being this mom that you would have loved to be, and you get it snatched away from you. Anyway, that's just my perspective. That might not be everyone's perspective. But I think it's this perspective of many women who have been in that position, who have, and who continue to be, right, in those positions. It's just really messed up. And I think for a lot of men, if I'm honest, they think kids will get over it. I've literally heard someone tell me after me saying, "Why would you do this?" And they say, "Kids adapt," right? And yeah, they do. Into what, though? Right? Adapt into what? Into a monster? Into women that don't want to have kids anymore? Right? I don't know. Maybe we just are having too many children. I think we need to have less children in the world. And like another content creator said on TikTok, we're literally living through a genocide. Shout out to Miss Adity, $ Adity on TikTok. We're literally living through a $. In my opinion, I don't see what men are showing me why I should be birthing for them. Like that's a real question. I feel like individually, especially, you need to prove to me, why should I procreate for you? Like, why? Why am I making kids for you particularly? Why am I making kids for this particular nation or for this set of men in this particular patriarchy? Prove to me, prove to us as women why. And yeah, I think men think that they have some control over it. But what a lot of men don't know is that even making us unhappily on the inside literally brings down our fertility rate. Our body shuts down. That's how much most of us know we don't want to have kids. We miscarry. We do all that. And some of us would rather take life and matters into our own hands, regardless of what legal matters say. Sadly, but true. That's just the truth. Um, Shout out to all the women out there who are currently in a gestational period, pre or before, and who are contemplating should they have this baby. If you're not sure and you don't want it and you feel like you're going to be alone, if you feel like you can do it, if you have support, that's fine. Know that you'll be attached to this person forever. And that person will have a big factor and say so in how your child presents in the world. And it's a toss of the coin. They can end up being great or they can end up being a war crime criminal. So shout out to the women that are pregnant now and who are trying to just make it through the 9 months, the grueling 9 months, when your feet are swollen and no one cares, when you have migraines and no one cares. Know that all of us women, we understand. We really do. And I would suggest that you find other women to support you. Hopefully good ones, because there's some other women out here too that are just, yeah, supporters of the bull. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye.